friend of mine gave me an opportunity to work in the ad tech industry. So, right again, back in the matrix. Didn't really know what I was doing, but loved the idea of having work lined up. And I said, I'm going to try this. And for 4 years, I created a relative copy of Nightlife Jerry. He was just called Ad Tech Jerry. So the ego got fully fledged again. Money was rolling in like waterfalls and crushing deals and right back into that. But everything in life is a skill set that you get to bring in that you might use later on. And I see it in this part of my life. I did that for 4 years. It got me back to LA. I was living in a 17th floor condo on the beach in Santa Monica, hot girlfriend, fancy car, everything. People are like, what's your problem? Right? But why am I depressed? Like, why am I still fucking depressed? And the girl ended up leaving me, right? And I was like, breakdown central. Had no emotional intelligence skills, couldn't handle or process the idea of the unworthiness coming full throttle. What happens? I go on my eat, pray, love journey for dudes. I call it man tears. I end up on a plane like every other LA person. Where do I end up? Bali. 2 months in Bali, right? I don't even know what I'm doing. Why am I in Bali? A friend of mine is living out there, says, come out here, right? And I end up getting a place like literally walking distance from the yoga barn. I don't even like yoga, but I'm like, I'm going to do yoga. It's going to heal me, right? But on the flight over, I read the book, The Surrender Experiment by Michael J. Singer.
Great book.
And yes, and I read, you're on a plane for 20 something hours. It's like book done. And my feet hit the ground in Denpasar, which is like, the big airport. The word was, we're going to surrender to everything. Like, I don't care. I'm a yes man. I'm like Jim Carrey. I'm the yes man, right? And I tried yoga. I went to every class and I just couldn't relate. And then I said, one more class. And I took a class with this guy, Carlos Romero. And this guy walks in, long dreadlocks, sacred geometry all over him, and like 20 instruments with a team carrying instruments. I'm like, who's this dude? Long story long, his class was so powerful. I loved every second of it. And I went up to him. I said, hey, man, I was going to leave, and I can't wait to take more of your classes. He goes, you should take my yoga teacher training. I said, when is it? He goes, starts tomorrow. And all I hear is Michael J. Singer go, surrender. And I said, cool, I'll sign up right now. And he goes, really? I go, yeah, I'm fully in. I'm enrolled. Let's go. I ended up taking yoga teacher training, and I believe that started healing the heart, right? Because I learned compassion for myself. From there, the stars aligned. I ended up wanting to go to India, and I've always wanted to do Vipassana. I apply. Within 10 minutes, I get an email back, you're in. I'm like, great. Here comes Southern New Delhi. I go to India, 10 hours a day, 10 days in silence, no eye contact, no books, no pens, no nada, and you sleep on a piece of wood. I didn't know this. I get there, and the room that they give me is room number 33, and the chair that happened to be in the room had a number 11 on it, which I thought was interesting because it took me 11 million steps to hike from Georgia to Maine, and 11 was always my favorite number. When I did research on it, number 11 is really the number 1, which is the number of mastery. 33 is the number of Christ consciousness, which is, your connection to the divine. So I go through this entire Vipassana, and, I really learned to see how much chatter was in my mind, how much I create stories in and around what is not real versus what I'm experiencing, right? So that helped process a lot of what I was going through. From there, I went to Varanasi, which is the oldest city in the world in India, hung out with sadhus, holy men, gurus, shamans, blah, 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 all the stuff, right? Looking for the quest. How do you love yourself? Heal me. Like every other person on earth. Heal me. Do it for me.
Right.
I end up in Peru in the jungles for the last month of my journey, where I sit with Shipibo shamans, ayahuasca for 4 days, combo, everything, great breakthroughs, great clarity. And I'm not taking away from any of those healing modalities, and they're great. But from there, Machu Picchu, Rainbow Mountain, went to Samadhi, finished off with in Sacred Valley with the Wachuma ceremony. And finally, all this healing, I decide I'm going home, right? I go home. I end up in New York City, in Long Island, in my mom's house. So much for reality. Here it comes, right? My mom has calling me Maharaji every day, because I'm like, oh, Maharaji's up, like Italian mother, completely like, this guy's gone crazy. She's like, when are you gonna get a job? When are you gonna go to work? You're gonna get a 401k, So from there, a friend of mine calls me, Gerard Adams, and says, hey man, I really need a guy to run my events. Do you want to come work for my company in LA? And I'm like, oh my God, yes. Get me out of my house. Mm-hmm. Jan 1, I'm back in LA. Staying at a friend's. I manifest my dream house in Topanga Canyon. I move all the way up to the top of Saddle Peak, the top. My only one neighbor happens to be Seal the singer. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. I'm like, Jerry, you've hit gold. You're working for a millennial multimillionaire, conscious entrepreneurship. Your neighbor Seal, you've arrived. Mm-hmm. Within a blink of a light, COVID comes. Mm-hmm. Job goes away. Now you're in an apartment. You just spent $30,000 traveling the world. You're paying that off. And now you're like, the fumes are coming in. Oh my God, how am I going to make this happen, right? Now here's the breakthrough. All those months of traveling, I had tools now. So instead of panic, I went into surrender. Mm. I went into acknowledgement of what was happening. And I just would go outside and I'd sit in that land and I'd say, what's for me is to be. And I said, I'm not scared, I'm available. And I heard something in my soul say, why don't you write down the most powerful experiences that transformed your life? Focus on that. So I started writing. What were the things that really pivoted me? And I came up with 12 experiences, 12 things that were so important. Commitment, self-love, AM/PM rituals, service, the divine feminine, so on and so on, right? But I had no idea what I was going to do with them. And then I said, well, could I teach this to people? Then the rackets came up like, well, you're not a coach. And then I'm like, well, what makes someone a coach? You don't get a degree. It's not like I'm going to give someone injectables and stuff. Like I have to have a license, right? Everyone's a coach. And next thing you know, I thought, well, what would I want to do? And I want to work with men. And the idea of a movement came up. And I said, maybe Man Movement. That could be a cool name. And then I said, you know what? Let's make it interesting because of the fashion and nightlife background. I took the A, flipped it upside down. I said, MVN. Okay, that's cool. That's a movement. Man Movement. Oh, cool. Available on GoDaddy. I go on Instagram. Available on Instagram. Next thing you know, I say, okay, look, here's the intention. I'm going to call in 33 men. And I don't know how. I don't have a click funnel. I don't have a website. I don't have nothing. I'm just going to find 33 men and I'm going to enroll them in this vision. And if these men go on a journey with me for 90 days and I transform them through mind, body, spirit, and service, and they leave a different version of themselves, I'm onto something. So I had no idea what I was doing. I just said, I'm going to find these guys. I find 33 guys. I call people from like Maddie from my childhood. Maddie, I haven't spoken to you in a decade. I'm doing this thing. I want you to be in it. All right. Okay. I take these guys on a journey. Then we have graduation. And when I listened to what they said on that call and the way I felt inside to see another person experience transformation, I said, this is better than any celebrity I've ever hung out with, any model I've ever dated, any paycheck that I got that was 6 figures, whatever it is, this trumps it beyond. And I said, this is where I want to invest the rest of my time and energy on this planet, is in transformation.